Hello YouTube, my name is Jags and today I'm going to be showing you my take on meal prep. This is just a simple broccoli, chicken, and rice and asparagus recipe, but you can add or subtract things as you see fit. And it starts very simply with the rice. I am using Kalajira rice, but you can use whatever you want. Now I'm showing you an optional step, but it's basically mandatory. So what I'm doing here is rinsing the starch off the rice, and what this does is help make the rice less sticky and pretty much just gives it a better texture once it's fully cooked. This is optional, but if you want your rice now or you just want to throw it in the rice cooker, that's fine too. So at this point, you'd pretty much be following your standard rice recipe. I don't need to tell you how to cook rice, but if you do need to know how to cook rice, basically level it out. And for white rice, it's 1 cup rice equals 1 1/2 cups of water. So if I used 6 cups, run just a little bit of math, that would be 9 cups of water. Fortunately, that's the hardest math we're doing in this video. From there, you can bust out your rice cooker and hit the on button. It is pretty simple. However, for those of you who don't own a rice cooker, I will be making a video on how to make rice on the stove, because if you want to make good rice on the stove, you want to do it right. Moving on a clean work surface, you're going to want to prepare your chicken breast. Mine did come fully trimmed. If you are trying to save some calories though, you could trim off that delicious fatty white stuff. To season, I would start with salt and freshly ground black pepper. Please, for the love of God, don't use that 10-year-old can of black pepper inside your cabinet. In fact, it is those same cans of black pepper that have been attributed to killing gains. But don't ask me for the source on that, because then I'd have to look for it, and that's hard. Anyways, you'll want to season both sides generously with salt and pepper, and I added some garlic powder to this. However, you can use whatever you would like. Now you may be wondering, why am I just preparing 1 chicken breast for meal prep? Well, I thought it would be pretty boring having you watch me prepare 6 chicken breasts doing the same thing every time. Now you're going to roast that in a 425 degree oven for 21 minutes. Now here's a good time to practice good time management. We're going to prep the asparagus. To do that is pretty simple. All you have to do is cut off the end, which is normally pretty tough and not very appetizing. That's assuming you've washed it first, but if you like eating dirt, more power to you. And again, I didn't think it would be super exciting having you watch me prepare a bunch of asparagus, so we're going to move on to the pan now. You're going to want to lightly oil it with cooking spray. I'm using coconut oil spray because I'm fancy, but you could use your traditional cooking oil spray, and you're going to want to season to taste. I just used salt and pepper to keep it simple. Since you're meal prepping, I'm assuming you're relatively interested in being efficient about your meals, so I did this all on 1 pan, but you could do 2, and I finished it off with 1 more spray of coconut oil over the top. Now it is at this point that I actually do my seasonings, even though I did mention it earlier, and the reason why I wait until after the oil is on is just so that the salt and pepper has something to stick to. Feel free to get your hands in there just to spread the seasoning and the oil around a little bit, and if you want to take this a step further, you could add some slivers of garlic or parmesan or ginger powder, whatever you prefer. For this video, I just kept it simple because I want you guys to think of ways to make this better. So that should have been about 21 minutes, which means it's time to take out the chicken. And if there's anything that you take away from this video, it is this technique for cooking chicken, and it is absolutely vital that you let it rest for 10 minutes. After, roast your asparagus in a 425 degree oven for 12 minutes. Since we are on a roll about being efficient, this is a good time to start preparing the broccoli. How exciting, right? Well, to start, it's pretty much the same thing as the asparagus, but I did use foil on this pan because #less dishes. Again, you could totally use multiple pans if you want to do more dishes, but I decided to crowd my pan once again and do it all on 1 pan. You totally don't need to get all touchy-feely with your broccoli like I did, but it may help comfort the broccoli before it goes into a very hot oven. I like to give the top one quick spray of oil just so that the tips of the florets get a little bit crusty while they're in the oven, and prepping that took just about as much time as it did to cook the asparagus. And this is why we're all about being efficient. You want to roast that broccoli at 425 for 18 minutes. Now let's talk about chicken really quick. If you're familiar with cooking chicken, a lot of recipes do state bake at 350 for 30 minutes. And all you're gonna get is a dry brick of chicken. Through much trial and tribulation, or otherwise cooking chicken at different temperatures and different times, I believe this temperature method is the most effective for cooking chicken breast, because you do end up getting a very moist chicken breast. And that is the key about having a successful meal prep. If you hate your meal every single time you put it in because the chicken does not glisten slightly with the light, then you know it's going to be depressing whenever you have to eat that bowl of chicken, broccoli, and rice. So please, cook your chicken breast at 425 for 21 minutes and let it rest. The rest time is probably more important than the cook time because it lets the juices settle and the temperature rise just slightly. And when you're done cutting the chicken, you can take out the broccoli and you pretty much are done with your meal prep. Now, before I go any further, there are two schools of thought here. You could either portion this out into individual containers or 4 big containers for each dish where you can portion out your food each day throughout the week. I personally believe that I would be doing you a disservice by telling you how much food to put inside your containers, so remember what your goals are. I put in 140 grams of rice, about 4 ounces of chicken, and about 120 grams of vegetables inside each container, just because that goes with my goals, but your goals are probably different, so you might have more or less. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful to you in some way, shape, or form. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you beautiful people in the next video.